Hey guys, wanted to jump on here. I'm hearing a ton about Game Changer and wanted to come and give you my thoughts, and hopefully you'll get something out of this because Game Changer, I was excited to watch it. I didn't realize how upset I'd be getting at it. So I wanted to jump on here. A lot of people have asked to hear Game Changers and the review on Game Changers. So here it is. So number one, they talk about plant-based. Plant-based diet is probably, being a dietitian, I talk about plant-based diet a ton, but Game Changers talks about plant-based diet. I would say that's like the number one word they use throughout it. So that's great, plant-based diet. However, Game Changers, it's not a plant-based diet what they're talking about. They're absolutely talking about a vegan diet. So Game Changers is an absolute vegan diet. It's not plant-based. Plant-based, by the way, you can still eat meat on plant-based versus Game Changer, they're demonizing all animal-based products. So it's a huge extreme. And so having you watch it, they want you to be a vegan, even though they never say vegan, they just use plant-based. So the entire film for me is so frustrating because they misuse the term plant-based. If you go into a dictionary or online, you'll see what plant-based is. It can be it's a very flexible, it could be a vegetarian, it could be a vegetarian that eats fish, it could be a vegan, it could be someone like myself who has more plant-based foods, but also eats animal-based protein. So number one critic for Game Changers is they completely misuse plant-based term. And you can see that if you go type in Google plant-based diet. That's number one. Number two, it's completely biased, 100%. And most are like forks and knives, and really any nutrition documentary is going to be completely biased because who's going to want to watch something that's just, hey, eat more vegetables, eat more leafy greens, eat more plant-based foods for your health, but you also can have XYZ animal products, whatever. So it's upsetting because it is so biased. And yes, there's experts on there, but all of the experts have a service or a product or there's or something that would benefit them that sells veganism, that sells plant-based. So they didn't have anyone on there about meat that was actually animal-based proteins that was actually credible. I think they had a dietitian on there that looked like not a very great dietitian, but again, they're making it look silly and making you think that animal-based proteins are demonized, while plant-based proteins are like perfect and you only should be eating plant-based proteins. So it's definitely a fear. So again, we're talking about Game Changers and my review on it. So completely biased, the science. Let's kind of talk about how it's an extreme. Let's go into the science. Everyone's like, oh, the science is great. They keep showing studies. A lot of those studies are like reviews and they're not really studies and they're put on the screen super quick going through and they're really inaccurate. And so, just be careful with believing what we see. Yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger is telling us to eat more plants. And yeah, we should. That doesn't mean we can't have animal-based proteins. Let's also go into the fact that they go into our body processes and look at the anatomy of our body. And they're talking about our teeth earlier on. And they say we have a long digestive tract because that's not good for meat. And like carnivores have a short digestive tract since plant-based foods take longer to digest. Which is totally absurd to think about that one thing, okay, that connects with, hey, we should only eat plants because our digestive tract is it's long, so obviously we shouldn't eat meat. That is completely absurd. And then they go into, our body doesn't make vitamin C. So we should probably, since our body can't make vitamin C, that means we only should eat plants. That is another absurd thing. The human beings, we are obviously the only creatures that have to supplement to get all our vitamins and minerals, but we're different in many other ways if you think about it. So, but then my favorite thing is they go to B12 and they're like, well, that's in the gut and not even meat eaters get enough B12. So just supplement with B12. So that's like the easy fix. again, it's just all these absurd things that, to me, being a nutrition expert, a dietitian, I like get red flagged on. And again, it's an extreme. So the science, we kind of touched on the science, and they also even said, a big thing for being a vegan, or they don't use the word vegan. However, a big thing for being plant-based is you think you can't get enough protein, which 100%. I have clients that are vegans or vegetarians, and we can 100% get enough protein through a vegan or vegetarian diet. But we do need to supplement, if you are a vegan, with some, because you're not getting certain nutrients that are in meat and animal-based proteins. Oh, maybe that's why we should eat both. But again, it's completely your choice. So you can 100% get proteins. One of the science thing was one of the science, fake science, I should say, that they said was plant-based proteins aren't complete, and they say they are complete. They're not complete. Obviously, we can get complete proteins by putting together different plant-based proteins, but they're not complete. So, and they actually don't absorb as well as animal-based proteins. So again, science of the game changers is not so great. So do not be gullible or naive when you watch this show. We should be, asking questions. And I used to be in that way where, like, I would read an article or watch something, and they'd be like, this is the way, this is the diet, this is what you need to do for overall health and happiness, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I need to go get this food or this diet or whatever. Please do not be gullible. There's not one way. Adding in more plants is going to help you. And then that leads me into the athletes. So obviously this is all about, right? This is all about athletes and how they can be, such high sustaining athletes on a plant-based diet. And remember, they are vegan diets. They are not plant-based. So they are completely misusing the term of plant-based. I already went into the beginning, but again, it's ridiculous. So vegan athletes, they were really great. They picked these vegan athletes to show, hey, they can achieve their goals on a plant-based vegan diet. Awesome. That's great. These are, maybe they looked at like 7 or 8 like elite athletes. And then with that, is nutrition the only thing that matters with your athletic abilities? No. A lot of other things come into hand, like your recovery, your team, your coaching, your mindset. Nutrition, obviously, of course, I'm a nutrition expert. Sports nutrition is so important, but it is not the only piece of the puzzle, right? So that's something to think about. Another thing is, we don't even talk about quality of it, right? Quality of plant-based protein, or like of a vegan plant-based diet. And then some of the athletes are like, we don't know what they ate before. Of course you're going to feel good and do better if you're eating more vegetables and plant-based foods. That doesn't mean if you eat animal-based foods you're going to feel horrible. They say, oh, I had huge dramatic changes when I went plant-based, aka vegan, but what was your diet before? Like, we don't know. Okay, so that's another aspect of it. And remember, these are elite athletes. Like, they're outliers. They're not individuals like you or I that, hey, can I sustain a vegan diet and still, do what I need to do? And how realistic is this, or things like that. So, and they have a lot of other people in their corner to help them with the vegan diet. So some people asked about, like, the heart disease. The science there is, it's balance, right? So I want you guys to think, number 1, balance. Number 2, variety. Number 3, food, right? We recommend that protein is only a 4th your plate. It is a side. The plants and the vegetables and all things like that is the main course of the meal. So balance. We can have red meat. We can have we can have eggs. We can have fish. They're so nutrient dense. Shellfish is insanely nutrient dense. So is beef. Let's choose them in sustainable ways. Choose organic. You're going to eat less. You can pay more for that, right? And we don't need to do this all the time. I would say that's where I kind of put our money. I buy a chicken. I buy a full organic chicken. Eggs, I buy free range eggs as best as possible. Milk or dairy, I try to buy organic as much as possible. These are animal-based proteins. So that's where I put my money in. Now, again, you can only add more beans and lentils and nuts and seeds and vegetables and fruits and all these awesome plant-based foods, right? But we don't have to go to the extreme of not eating animal-based proteins. We have this whole thing about Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger, and I was at the Bears game on Sunday, and they had a huge ad for it, like, eat our plant-based burger. Okay, that's awesome for vegans and vegetarians to have that option, but if I'm at a Bears game, like, why do you need to eat a plant-based burger? Like, and even for vegans and vegetarians, if they're out and having that, that's great, but I still would rather have them choose a black bean burger, choose an actual food burger versus something that's not food and they made it into food. So that's a whole nother area to talk about, but more so we're focused on the game changers. So I just wanted to kind of come on here and give you an idea of the thing I do like about the film. I love that they are promoting people to eat more plant-based foods, because we should all be eating more plant-based foods. We should all be eating more whole, real foods with the fiber, the minerals, the nutrients. They're all phenomenal for us, for our energy level, for our inflammation, for our poop, for everything. So they're really beneficial, right? But we don't need to go to the extreme of it. So I think a benefit is if someone watches this and then they start eating more vegetables and decreasing their meat, maybe meat's half their plate. Or maybe they do a meatless Monday, or something like that, where they don't have to have meat at every meal, right? So we have a lot of plant-based proteins. I put a ton with my clients. I work on getting more plant-based proteins in, and not eliminating animal-based proteins, but balancing them out. Okay, so. Again, so this is my game changer and then someone asked about the heart health. Obviously eating more plant-based protein is going to help your health. That doesn't mean that the animal proteins are the one that are giving you, there's more than just animal-based proteins. There are the high processed foods. Animal-based proteins can do it. And studies show that, if you eat a ton of red meat and you overly eat all of these foods, animal-based foods, and that's why I talk about balance. We need balance, and if we find balance and we accentuate the plant-based foods, that will definitely help us in our heart health and our overall health. But again, it's not just meat that's causing this. It's all the fast food that we eat. It's the high processed foods like French fries. What about French fries? Those aren't animal-based protein. Those can be a vegan protein or a vegan food. So if you think about it, it's not, and the sugar is not, and all of the sweets and the treats and high fructose corn, like whatever, these are not animal-based proteins. So think about that. And it's not just the meat, right? We can enjoy meat and we can enjoy animal-based proteins and not demonize them and be afraid of them, and we're just getting more fear. Let's see. I think that's, if anyone had any questions, really just wanted to jump on here and give you my thoughts on the film. Again, what I love about it is telling people to eat more vegetables and plant-based foods. Do that. Let me know if you need help with that. I'm here to help. That's a big thing that I've done. Probably the biggest part of my diet that's changed is adding in more whole, real foods, adding in more plant-based foods, and proteins, plant-based proteins too. But I still eat meat, I still eat eggs and milk, and because my body is well with that, and I just do it in balance. So that was my review for Game Changers. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and have a great day. And just remember, any food documentaries, they will go to the extreme. And what I would have loved to see is experts from both sides to give us the real thing, right? If we're in a courtroom, we hear from both sides. That's what it should be in documentary. So you have all the tools to decide what's going to be best for you and what you want to try, for someone just playing a game and, going one-sided and telling you one way or the other. And the last thing that I'm going to say is what really bothered me as a dietitian was this guy, you know, everyone means wellness food in this film. I totally understand. But it, you know, it's just being realistic with it. But a big thing for me was at the end of the film, you saw the main character, which I'm sure he's such a great guy. And obviously his dad, you know, is doing better in health, aka he's adding more vegetables in. He probably can still have meat, but just in smaller amounts. But anyways, the one thing that he did at the end, he starts educating people on what to eat. He's not a nutrition expert. You can read as many studies and talk to as many people as you can, but you are not a dietitian or a doctor. You are not the expert in nutrition, so you really shouldn't be telling people how to eat or what to do for their health, right? So that's my biggest thing. Remember, like, dietitians, like, we're nutrition experts, and we have thousands of hours of licensure and 5-6 years of schooling. Like, so just know that really that bothered me a lot. I'm seeing if there's any other questions, but Game Changers film. If you want another review, watch it. If you have any other questions, let me know. All right, guys, have a great day.